في عالمنا المليء بالعجائب والأسرار هناك مخلوقات صغيرة نراها يوميا دون أن نعيرها الكثير من الاهتمام. لكن ماذا لو تحولت تلك الكائنات الصغيرة إلى خطر رهيب يهدد حياتنا؟ نعم، نحن نتحدث عن النمل القاتل، تلك المخلوقات التي تخفي وراء حجمها الصغير قوة مدمرة قادرة على إثارة الرعب وتحويل أي مكان إلى ساحة معركة. في هذا الفيلم المثير سنأخذكم في رحلة إلى عالم مليء بالمفاجآت والغموض. سنكشف عن سر تطور هذه الكائنات وتحولها إلى خطر يلاحق الجميع. ماذا حدث؟ وكيف يمكن للبشرية النجاة من هذا الكابوس؟ استعدوا لأجواء مشحونة بالتوتر والمغامرة، حيث يتحول المألوف إلى مجهول والبسيط إلى مرعب. هيا بنا لنشاهد الفيلم سويا ونستكشف معا قصة النمل القاتل بكل تفاصيلها المثيرة. ولا تنسوا أن تستعدوا جيدا، فقد لا تكونوا مستعدين لما ستشاهدونه.
Predators, hyenas and lions. No safari is complete without them.
Huge. Finally went to sleep.
We get a thrill from a lurking threat of danger.
Yeah, it was.
Daddy, I'm scared. I don't like hyenas.
But while we fear the big killers, tiny assassins move in the shadows. Miniature muggers who take more lives every day than all the lions and hyenas put together. A savage sisterhood programmed for attack.
Yeah, what's the
Natural-born killers no bigger than a match head. There are over 8,000 species of ant on the planet, most of them quite harmless. But one or two have got such a violent streak that some people believe that these ants can kill humans. Could this really be possible? Can the driver ant of Africa devour a horse in a day? Has the Australian bulldog ant ever killed a man with a single sting? Have the army ants of Latin America ever stripped a forest bare of all life? Fact or fiction? Myth or reality? We're off around the world to discover the truth about these killer ants. This is AntCam, specially designed to boldly go where no other camera has gone before. It could be the only safe way to get close to these tiny but brutal characters, while also giving us a more detailed view of their lives than ever before. After years of development, we hope AntCam is finally ready to go on the road. As the Pan-American Highway runs through Costa Rica, it crosses spectacular forest-covered hills. Santa Rosa National Park. This is the home of one of the deadliest insects in the world, or so we're told, the army ant. Dale Morris is a local naturalist and photographer. He's going to help us track down this legend.
So this is pretty good ant country, is it?
This is perfect ant country where we are, but there's lots of old trees and there's some cliffs around this area, and that's where I'm hoping to find a bivouac.
Army ants. The trail leads us and AntCam into the heart of their territory. According to horror films, these ants destroy everything in their path. It's said they'll strip a man to the bone in a matter of minutes. In this tree is their bivouac, the home of 1 million army ants. How will ant camp cope with its first ant meeting? Will it be attacked, or will it win them over? So far, so good. All systems are working. Ant camp creeps in for a better look. Our first view of the nest is like entering another world. The main structures seem to be made entirely of ants. Millions of legs linked together create cables and stays, which double as lifts and corridors for the colony. Special hooks lock them in place. As we steer ant cam deeper into the nest, the view becomes even more alien. Among the army ants, division of labor has reached dizzy heights. There are guards and cleaners, foot soldiers and nurses, all daughters of the same queen. They have one common goal: to nurture hundreds of thousands of cocoons, each one housing a new sister, their future. With the exception of the queen, the entire sisterhood is armed with a modified egg-laying syringe, a sting. Everyone in the forest knows it, at least everyone native to these forests. Dale Morris made a big mistake when he decided to investigate a bivouac for himself. He thought he'd taken the necessary precautions: protective clothing, gloves, helmet. But he'd overlooked one thing. He was wearing a suit designed to keep out bees, but these were ants, angry ants.
So while I was in there pulling the ants out and getting covered in ants, I started to feel some stings around my face and my neck and the corner of my eye, and it's like, this isn't supposed to be happening, this really isn't supposed to be happening. And I sort of adjusted my focus to the front of the face mask, and there were ants pouring in. It's like, oh my God, what have they done? So in my panic to get out of the suit, I quickly pulled it off, and I forgot that the wristbands were tightly cuffed. I'm there now with my hands inside the sleeves, trapped, with two very big handfuls of very annoyed ants. By the time we'd got the suit off, my neck was swelling up to the size of a male orangutan's. My ears felt like I'd had ice cubes on them. My forehead was all stung up, and my wrists were, well, I could no longer feel them. They were no longer there.
With so many stings at their disposal, there's no doubt army ants can mount an impressive defense. But what are they like on the attack? We're about to witness a legend of the insect world. Army ants on the rampage. Specialist bridge builders span awkward gaps on the trail to ease the flow of commuters. The rush hour exodus reaches 6,000 ants per minute. They advance in a direction roughly at right angles to their previous hunt. This way they avoid covering old ground. These ants only have two speeds: stop and go. 300,000 butchers head off for a day's pillage. The army's advance has taken the shape of a tree, a main trunk feeding lesser branches, twigs and shoots, flowing rivers and streams of ants. And they don't go unnoticed. Over millions of years, their quarry have become sensitive to the smells the ants use to communicate. Suddenly, the forest floor springs to life as alarmed refugees flee the coming terror. If you can run, now's the time. But the swarm will suddenly change direction, to the left, then to the right. Many of the fugitives find themselves trapped. And mercy is not in the army ant's behavioral vocabulary. A scorpion is injected with hundreds of doses of venom. Seconds later, it's engulfed, pinned down like Gulliver. In this way, the ants tackle prey thousands of times their own size. Maybe it's this ability that has led some people to think that even humans could be on the menu. So how do the ants fare with larger animals? Even tortoises seem to have no trouble outrunning the advance guard. When the ants find a snake, they withhold their attack. And the reason is soon apparent. Although the ants soon dispatch their smaller victims with biting and stinging, they struggle to cut the armored casing of larger prey. They rely on enzymes in the stings to do the work. After an hour, the prey will simply fall apart. And only then can they transport this gargantuan meal back to the nest. Many of the army ant foot soldiers double as porters. Their jaws are perfectly designed for carrying, not cutting. As with any army, command is broken down. Each of the porters is a leader who recruits help from others to drag the quarry back home. But the command and control system is still largely a mystery. We know they transmit and receive complex chemical messages. We've only deciphered some of their chemical alphabet, but we don't yet know how the words are formed. The bridge is still in position, saving a costly detour for the returning porters. And so 50,000 insects, bugs, spiders and scorpions can be captured in a day. Their decapitated, quartered, butchered remains form a gruesome parade. Once inside, the fresh food supplies are distributed evenly throughout the colony. In this way, 1 million army ants can act as a unit, almost as if they were a single organism. Cleaners and nurses move throughout the bivouac, seeing to the needs of others. Any ant that's part of the infrastructure can solicit food and be rewarded. Army ants may be the terror of the forest, but when they're not busy killing, they're busy caring. As the day draws to a close, a sense of anticipation seems to hang in the air. This is no ordinary evening. Normally at dusk, the ants settle down for a quiet evening of rest, and maybe some tidying up after a busy day of plunder. The cleaners carry the unwanted garbage to the trash heap, but tonight's different. These are discarded cocoons of newly emerged sisters. Another cohort of 50,000 workers has just hatched. Tonight the ants will put on their finest show yet. 1 million ants are about to move camp. The unhatched brood needs to be carefully unpacked. Outside, the bigger soldiers coordinate the maneuvers. They've got just a few hours to evacuate all of their troops. How was the decision reached? Is the Queen an absolute monarch, or did all the workers cast their own chemical vote? Either way, there is no dissent. This is one of the wonders of the natural world. The mass relocation of 1 million ants in just one evening. And still, there's no sign of the Queen. She's hidden from Antcam's prying light by her most dedicated warriors. The only way to penetrate this security screen and glimpse the monarch is with infrared light, invisible to the ants, but not to our camera. A quick glimpse of the Queen before she sets off on a 200-meter dash for the safety of her next home. This is the start of the colony's nomadic phase. For the next 3 weeks, they'll move every night in search of fresh hunting grounds. Dawn finds the swarm already out and about. There's no time to lose. The newborn baby sisters are hungry. They've arrived at the edge of the Santa Rosa Tropical Forest Research Center. What kind of food could they be hunting for here? And what sort of attack could they mount against humans? All the usual suspects are rounded up, while some take refuge in unorthodox hiding places.
I can't do focus at the moment.
The polished floor should act as a first line of defense against animal intruders, but it's soon breached by these clever hunters. The bridge builders apply their special skills, gripping tiny scratches in the surface to build a horizontal ladder for the other ants to clamber over. It's an all-out attack. What sort of reception will they get? Maybe not quite what you might expect.
I love these hands because they really clean my office and clean my room. I wait for them to come and they take out every ugly bug from my office and my rooms.
Much to the delight of its human residents, the lab gets a free spring cleaning service. Not a single cockroach, beetle or scorpion will survive the ant tornado, which is something you might expect biologists to understand and appreciate. But what about the locals who live outside the park? What do the Costa Rican farmers and cowboys think when 1 million ants drop by for a visit?
Agarra un alacrán, una cucaracha, cualquier bichito, ellas vienen a hacer todo esto.
Que limpien todos los insectos que hay, alacranes, ratones, todo, que los saquen.
In the world of the forest floor, army ants are perhaps the most ruthless and efficient killers ever. However, from their viewpoint, we are the monsters. The reality is that in Costa Rica, at least, these ants are the people's friend, not their enemy. But a scene like this sends the human imagination running riot. Who would stop to ask questions when faced with 500,000 ants on the rampage? On the other side of the world, on the island of Tasmania, south of Australia, are some ants with no friends. In these forests and mountains lives an ant that's said to be able to kill a man in 4 minutes. These are bulldog ants, among the largest ants in the world. They're primitive, more wasp-like, and not nearly as social as the army ants. And they're vicious. They probe ant-cam for weaknesses. This is an ant with attitude. Bulldog ants range in size from large to enormous. They range in aggression from nasty to highly dangerous. And they have a truly vicious sting, which they don't hesitate to use. The nastiest of the bulldog ants is, oddly enough, the smallest. This is the most dangerous creature in Tasmania. It causes more deaths than all the snakes, spiders, bees and sharks put together. Meet the jackjumper. Jackjumpers live in small colonies of a few hundred. In their native Tasmanian forests, they heave rocks around to cover their nest. These boulders absorb heat from the sun to keep the brood chambers warm throughout the cool nights. This is like a man lifting a car over a garden fence. But nowadays, a new habitat has popped up in Tasmania that seems to be even better suited to the bulldog ants. Suburbia. In and around Hobart, human beings have created the perfect combination of sun and shade that bulldog ants seem to thrive in. These streetwise ants have made themselves very comfortable here, but they haven't made friends with the locals.
I don't even remember jackjumpers till I was about 10, I suppose. And I think my first realisation that they were evil little bastards, that I saw a nest and I thought it was probably time to stir them up, so I got a stick and just sort of started bashing the nest. I got quite an amount of enjoyment out of that, and about 15 minutes later, I don't know where they come from, but two had come up my trouser leg or something and one bit me on the side of the crotch, and at that point I realised that they were going to be trouble.
For many Tasmanians, their first sting is the start of a lifelong hate affair. The freshly turned soil in a suburban garden is nice and soft. The jackjumpers can dig out a brood chamber in just a few days. And a new nest can go unnoticed for weeks. There's plenty of sun here, so they don't need to collect rocks anymore, and that frees them up for their favourite pastime, aggression. When ant-cam approaches too close, they show their true colours. With their excellent vision, they home in on us immediately. They're ready for a fight at a moment's notice. Ant-cam is forced to retreat. More individualistic than the disciplined army ants, jackjumpers often have disagreements among themselves. Private arguments, usually over dominance within the nest. None of the others will get involved. And they're lone hunters too, armed with what could well be the most powerful venom in the insect world. The fly is immediately paralyzed, injected with powerful enzymes and insecticides. Within seconds, it's dead. The only limit to what a jack jumper can bring back to the nest is what it can carry by itself. Even bees and wasps succumb to these ruthless predators. They certainly are belligerent. Any movement or vibration seems to get them riled, and we are often at the wrong end of their sting. About once a week, the Hobart Ambulance Service is called out for a jack jumper emergency.
You feel it travelling through your body and it gets hot. It's like something hot going through your veins, and the body just virtually goes into total shutdown very quickly. I mean, within a few minutes. And it just feels life sort of draining out of my body. It's very, very scary.
This time she's lucky. An injection of adrenaline brings her back from the brink.
The last time it was 7 minutes from the time the ambulance was phoned till they got there, and I had no pulse and no vital signs really.
How are you feeling there?
Dr. Simon Brown is expert at treating anaphylactic shock, extreme allergic reaction.
I'd say about 1% of the population has had a history of recurrent severe reactions needing treatment with adrenaline, so probably about 4,000 people in Tasmania are at risk of dying if they're stung again by this insect.
He's developing an ingenious solution to this serious health threat. But first, he has to collect some of the tiny terrors, taking care not to get stung himself. He's after their venom, in the hope that tiny doses of it may hold the key to a cure. He's built a special chamber designed to exploit the jack jumper's famous aggression by subjecting them to brief electric pulses. When a current flows through the wires, they get angry and sting the underlying glass surface.
Getting venom this way, we get about 10 micrograms of venom from each ant. So that's quite a bit of work. We like this way because we don't kill the ants and we get to put them back in the nests. So it's environmentally friendly, and we've got quite fond of them over the last couple of years.
In the medical trial, Dr. Brown has given half of his patients real venom vaccine. If it works, they should show little reaction when they're stung again. The other half have been given a placebo, a false injection to make them think they've received the real vaccine. The Sting Challenge should sort out which is which. It's a standard double-blind test. Not even Dr. Brown knows which patients were given the real venom. For someone who's grown up in mortal fear of these ants, this is a challenge indeed.
Get the show on the road.
Yeah.
After just a few minutes, it's obvious that Brent is reacting. He must have been on the placebo. Greg seems fine. His heart rate is normal. Brent's face flushes red. His pulse soars. His blood pressure plummets. It's the full anaphylactic shock. He's in trouble.
How do you feel?
His body is mounting a panic reaction to the invading venom. Without adrenaline, he could be dead in minutes, from heart failure or suffocation as his airway closes down from the swelling. Luckily, he's in just the right place to be rescued. The good news is that Dr. Brown's treatment works. None of the patients who received the venom vaccine reacted to the sting. Brent need never go through this again. So the jack jumper is a nasty brute, a killer ant. But we're not its intended victims. It doesn't set out to eat us for dinner. We just happen to be sensitive to its venom. Maybe it's simply misunderstood, in need of an image makeover. Half a world away, in East Africa, lives a truly sinister ant. An ant that might look on us as a meal. The slopes of Mount Meru in Tanzania are carpeted by a lush but strangely silent forest. Where are all the familiar faces of African wildlife? Even the elephants are missing. Some people say that's because of these ants, driver ants, known locally as siafu. This ant is said to have stripped a horse to the bone in a day. Recently it was blamed for the mysterious disappearance of a tourist in the Congo. Just how deadly is it? Over much of Africa, nomads have settled and cleared the forests. On Mount Meru, the Maasai now plant bananas, maize and beans to feed their families, and they live apart from the wildlife, with one notable exception. Siafu. Like army ants, siafu migrate in search of food, but there's a crucial difference. Instead of a mere million ants, there are 20 million siafu making this journey. It'll take the whole colony 4 days to complete the exodus. Siafu certainly command respect. Nobody messes with them. The Maasai say it's the siafu who drive the elephants from the forests by invading their trunks and drilling into their ears. But they also believe siafu were put on Earth for a purpose. We've brought Ant Cam along to help us sort myth from reality. Unlike the army ants, siafu have no sting, but they've got awesome jaws that can cut through just about anything. Once the large workers have opened their victim's skin, smaller ones can start eating the flesh inside.
No, I think I'm going to back off. I think they basically won. I think we call that siafu 1, filmmaker 0.
And that's why we built Ant Cam. It can't feel pain. In their new farmland habitat, siafu usually make their nest in the soft soil underneath a banana tree. The diggers are frantically clearing space for the constant stream of new arrivals. And they are completely blind. Every command is made by touch or smell. Their bodies are covered with chemical emitters and sensors. In their dark world, they excavate a chamber big enough for 20 million sisters, the equivalent in human terms of building the pyramids. and they make a new nest about once a month. Day and night, the digging and the migration continue without a break. The rains are approaching, and an extraordinary Siafu drama is about to unfold. Not far from the trail, a strange creature blunders about, as if attracted to the ant highway. This is a sausage fly. As soon as he stumbles across the trail, he is set upon by the sisterhood. They don't kill him. It's almost as if they've been expecting him. He is in fact a male Siafu, the biggest ant in the world, carrying enough sperm to generate 500 million daughters. This is no orgy of affection. They hold him down and cut off his wings. He's a prisoner. He'll be led to the new nest and kept captive until a young queen is ready to mate. The sisterhood only needs his sperm. The trail leads below ground before finally reaching the nest. Antcam's onboard lights illuminate soldiers standing guard against subterranean predators. At the entrance to their new chamber, the Siafu perform an incredible feat of management. 6,000 ants are arriving every minute, most of them carrying a sister. Every pupa, larva and egg must be cleaned and stacked. How on earth do they manage it? We know it's all done by chemical messages, each ant communicating where it's been, what it's carrying, and whether it needs food. It's a sort of insect internet, connecting and instructing 20 million ants. Imagine the city of Los Angeles acting as one unit, while communicating only by smell. In this gigantic underground bunker, the Siafu display the pinnacle of ant society. A tight basket of soldiers forms a firm casing which supports the apparent chaos inside. The amassed millions generate enough heat to raise the temperature of the nest interior by 4 degrees to keep the brood growing at the maximum rate. But all of these 20 million mouths will soon have to be fed. It's time for the infantry to get back to work. For much of the year, the Siafu are dormant and lead completely subterranean lives. But when the rains come, the air fills with insects. This is what draws the Siafu to the surface. Africa's top predator pours out of the earth. They drag the tips of their abdomens along the ground. This leaves a scent trail which acts as a signpost for the others. They move into the bean field. Armageddon fast approaches the unwary. The guard's antennae are constantly twitching, picking up signals, sensitive to the slightest change in the air, sensitive to any threat.
Watch this.
The trail heads deep into the Masai Shambas. It's not just the ants that have multiplied. Millions of bugs and beetles are everywhere, tucking into the tasty crops. This time, the Siafu take no prisoners. With extraordinary speed, they recruit extra troops to the battlefront. They may be blind, but they kill with surgical precision, cutting and slicing their way through their prey. Even caterpillars with poisonous hairs don't give a moment's pause. They're shorn and shipped like everything else. All day, every day, the Siafu clear the fields. To the point that Siafu are really an integral part of this farming community. Each ant colony destroys crop pests at the rate of about 2 million a day. 2 million animals that would otherwise be destroying the farmers' livelihoods. Anything edible that's unable to escape will be killed and eaten. Certainly mice, rats and snakes are all on the menu. Siafu do have a taste for human flesh, and their raiding parties are huge. Is it possible they deliberately target human beings with the intention of eating them? The Maasai take the threat of ant attack very seriously, taking care to keep their precious animals out of harm's way. As night falls on the cool mountain slopes, the ants usually go to sleep. But if it's warm, they keep hunting in the darkness. The chickens are safely shut away in their coop to protect them from mongooses. A few ants make a welcome high-protein treat for them. Trouble is, for every one that's eaten, there are 1,000 to replace it. Most of the animals know what's going to happen and flee for their lives. The farm is alive with refugees. Siafu may be the farmers' friends, but they're also indiscriminate. If it moves, they'll kill it. Fire is the only way to stop them in their tracks, even if it is too late for the chickens. Within a day, there'll be nothing left but beaks and bones. For the Siafu, the loss of 100,000 infantry is nothing. Mere collateral damage. The night's campaign has been a resounding success. For the Maasai, Siafu can be a painful, even a dangerous nuisance, but they play their role on the farm. The Maasai understand them and know how to live alongside them. The real problems seem to come when a newcomer to Africa encounters driver ants for the very first time. And the horror stories keep on coming.
We were there visiting some Maasai, and some friends of ours that were living in the area brought their small baby with them. The child got tired early in the evening, and I suggested they just put her to bed. They agreed, and I kind of showed them the tent and went back to the fire, and we're carrying on and having a nice time. And all of a sudden, we heard this baby crying. Went back to the tent, and this baby was completely covered in siafu. Man, it was really dreadful. And I'm sure if she'd have been left there for much longer, my goodness, you know, the ants could easily have, I'm sure they could have killed her.
That story is not unusual. Unlike any other insect, siafu will attack humans as an act of predation. On the rare occasions when they succeed, the cause of death will be suffocation, an invasion of the lungs. To them, we're just another meal, just one of the billions of lives they take every day. It's not the lion or the hyena which is Africa's top predator. It is the siafu, a real killer ant.